Hey, coming into tonight, 6 teams in our coverage remained, and now we only have 4. Tonight we had reporters everywhere, from New Lexington to Lucasville, Westerville to Zanesville, and Meadowbrook to Newark. But now we're bringing it all back right here for you, so settle in for the next 30 minutes. Your playoff coverage starts right now on Gridiron Glory.
Let's go!
Welcome back into Studio A, everyone. I am your host, Joseph Payton. Look, we've got a lot to get to tonight. No time to waste, so let's go ahead and get after it. And leading us off tonight, SVC reporter Nick Niehaus was in Lucasville for Southeastern's matchup with the Colegrove Hornets. He now joins us live from Ironton.
Well, Joey P., as you know, in the playoffs, there is no mercy. It is win or go home. And unfortunately for the Southeastern Panthers, their perfect season is coming to an end tonight with a crushing defeat to the hands of the Colegrove Hornets with a 46-22 loss. Now, as we know, Southeastern, they had a perfect record coming into this one, 11-0, first time in school history. But the Colegrove Hornets, they're riding an 8-game winning streak. So I guess you could say that they really have enough momentum coming into this one as well. So what we have here is 2 teams with completely different offensive styles. Southeastern, as we know, they really like to stay in that double wing T formation, have their 2 best offensive playmakers in the backfield at all times in Carson Stouffer and Dakota Hauser. In Colegrove, they really did their homework on those 2. They just shut down that run game completely, didn't give them any breathing room to get outside, make those big plays up the sideline that we normally see from Southeastern. So what Southeastern was forced to do was they were just forced to change their offensive game plan completely. Make Lane Ruby in the shotgun, make him air it out, and as we know, they really aren't comfortable doing so. So what we saw is basically Southeastern was shut down on the scoreboard in the first half, was held to 94 yards offensively. Compare that to Colegrove's 294 yards on offense in the first half alone. So now moving on to Colegrove. Offensively, they could not be any more different than Southeastern. They run a spread offense with their quarterback in shotgun the whole game, and basically there's 3 things that are going to come out of that. A quarterback keeper up the middle, a jet sweep around the end, or they're going to let quarterback Nate Harmon air the ball out. So what we saw in that deep ball, it really worked for Colegrove the whole first half. Nate Harmon was able to find 3 receivers in the end zone for 3 touchdowns, longest one being from 57 yards out. The receivers did a really good job of creating space so that Harmon could air the deep ball out on their streaks. The coverage for Southeastern really wasn't there, and so they were really dominating through the air. Now, not only Nate Harmon, he didn't just do it on the air alone. On first and second down, they really called on him to run the ball, get some momentum, and that big frame of his made it really hard for Southeastern to take him down. So on first and second down, he'd run the ball, but on third, they called for him to air it out, and he really delivered. They were really dominant in the passing game, and that was pretty much the big downfall for Southeastern. And with that dominance, after the first touchdown, there was really just no looking back for the Hornets.
Yeah, for sure, Nick. They got a gritty group of guys at the village of Colegrove. Thanks for breaking it down for us tonight, man. But why don't you go grab you some Giovanni's Pizza on your way out of the Big Eye and get home safe. All right, now let's head over to Snapchat and check out our Snap of the Week coming from the Nelsonville York Buckeye faithful. We got a little Richards on the screen here, all decked out in his orange and brown, geared up for the big game tonight. And let me tell you, my man saw one incredible football game tonight. We're going to hear about it here in just a moment. But hey, thanks for the snap. And TVC Ohio reporter Maggie Shandrick headed out to New Lexington tonight to see Nelsonville York take on the Fort Frye Cadets in what looked to be a crazy finish to find a winner in this one.
That's right, JP. This game was a completely different game in 2 halves, and that was the epitome of high school football in November. The Nelsonville York Buckeyes are pumped up, and they are ready for round 2 of the playoffs. First play of the game, Garrett Maiden rolls out to his right, and he finds Colt Yinger wide open on the sidelines for a gain of 9 yards. They were forced to punt, and so was Fort Frye on the first drive. And right here, the Buckeyes couldn't hold on to the punt. The ball is loose, and the Cadets fall on it, getting another chance. But Fort Frye couldn't find anything to work against the NY defense as Tyler Fisher rushes right here for 6 yards, and they were forced to punt again. This time the Buckeyes hold on to the punt, and good thing they did because Maiden drops back and finds Chris Cook, who reaches for the ball and is off for the races for a 71-yard touchdown. NY is up 7-0, 3 minutes left in the first quarter. A few drives later, Tyler Fisher trying to get something going again, but he can't get anything going, can't get any points on the scoreboard, and puts the ball in Maiden's hands. Maiden says, all right, thank you, let's do it again. He drops back and sends a dime deep down the field to Keegan Wilburn for 55 yards and another 6. Extra point, no good. NY up 13-0. Last drive of the first half, Cadets trying to get something going. Ingle connects with Brady Schilling for 15 yards, but fortunately for Fort Frye, they couldn't get anything going, and they go into the half scoreless, but they go into the fourth quarter, and they score, and the NY wins 26-20 in overtime.
For sure. So Fort Frye, they went into half with no points on the scoreboard. What was the difference, you think, for the Cadets on offense in the first half compared to what they did in the second half?
Well, Fort Frye went into the half with 0 points on the scoreboard, and they couldn't find any success in the first half against the always dominant Nelsonville York defense. Tate Ingle couldn't seem to connect with any open receivers, and Tyler Fisher and Tyler Bradford couldn't find any running room, forcing the Cadets to go 3 and out a few times. And it didn't help that the Buckeye passing game was on point in the first half, and the Cadets did a good job of shutting down the NY running game, but the Buckeyes will always find a way to score on you no matter what, and they did that through the air. And you know, the Cadets didn't find themselves on the board until the fourth quarter, where they decided to make this game interesting.
So how did they make this game interesting?
Well, they scored 2 quick touchdowns in the fourth, and the mood of the game drastically changed. The Cadets got the ball in their hands with 4 minutes left, down 20-14, and they drove down the field and scored on a one-yard touchdown from Tyler Bradford, but the extra point was no good, and this sent the game into overtime, and
Nelsonville was able to get it done.
Yeah, Nelsonville got it done. Colt Yinger had a 5-yard rush into the end zone, and they ended up winning 26-20.
For sure, it was a crazy game. We've seen a couple games in our coverage go into overtime tonight. We'll break some of those down in a little bit, but the Buckeyes moving on. They'll play Colegrove in the regional final, so thanks for the good work. All right, stepping aside from the gridiron for a moment to plug our Facebook account. Pull up your Facebook app right now, people. Search us up, Gridiron Glory, and give our page a like. We break down games for you here on air, but if you want to see it in written form, that's where you check out Facebook, where all of our content gets posted for you to see. Now tonight, only one team remained from the TVC Hawking, the Trimble Tomcats, and they had the tall task of playing Danville tonight, and Hawking reporter Duncan Goldberg was there. He joins us live from Zanesville.
Yeah, Joey P., this was a tall task indeed. This Danville team is tough, and being ranked first in the division, but the Tomcats, they came to fight tonight as they battled all night long, but in the end, Danville was just too talented, and they would win this one 27-10. Now, long drive for those Cats, but they were excited about the opportunity at hand. First drive of the game for Danville. It is a 30 and out, so Tomcat football. And now Sawyer Coons, he's going to get the ball here, and he's ripping off a 12-yard run, but Tomcats have to settle for a field goal, 24 yards out by Max Hooper. Here comes Danville, though. Skylar Durbin up the gut, 20 yards, and later in the drive, they score on a 41-yard jet sweep, making it 6-3 Blue Devils. But on to the second quarter, Cam Kittle says, hey, thanks, and picks this ball off, and later in the drive, Tomcats score, making it 10-6. But that will be the last points of the game for the Tomcats as Durbin runs this one in, making it here 12-10 Danville. And Durbin getting up here on the defensive side of the ball as he gets a pick, and they just keep rolling. And before half, Durbin, he's going to look at Durbin up. He gets up and gets a pick here. And now Durbin, here he is again before half. He runs it in, making it 20-10 Danville. And they will win this one 27-10. They are moving on to the regional finals.
So, Duncan, you mentioned this was going to be a tough task tonight for Trimble, and that's partially due to how talented that Skylar Durbin guy is.
Yeah, Durbin, he is a man. He's tough as nails, and he might be one of the best teams in the state. And, he's possibly the best player in the state, getting down, he did it all over the field tonight. He ran the ball, he threw the ball, and obviously he played defense. It's going to be tough for the next team to beat Danville because, being the number 1 seed and Durbin just being as good as he is, it's going to be tough. We'll see what they can do, but that team's good.
For sure, Duncan. Durbin, he's clearly a workhorse, but this was a good showing out there by the Tomcats tonight, wasn't it, even though they lost?
Yeah, the Tomcats, they played some really good football out there tonight. You can't really fault them for what they did. Max Hooper, Sawyer Coons, and Connor Wright, they all ran the ball well, and their defense, honestly, was pretty solid against Durbin. But, that team is just good. There's no way around it. They're ranked 3rd in the AP poll for a reason. So, yeah, but next year they're going to be coming back with all these guys, Sawyer Coons and all those guys, and Max Hooper and Connor Wright. They're back next year, so they should be happy they were here, and we'll see them again next year. Also, shout out to Phil Fairs and that coaching staff. They got them prepared this entire season. Surprised that they got this far. So, good season for them. They shouldn't be disappointed.
Absolutely. Trimble is one of these teams in our coverage that seems to always somehow manage to get it done. Once again, another good year. If people thought they were going to be down, they definitely proved otherwise. So, Duncan, thanks for putting in the work for us tonight, buddy. In the MVL, 3 teams from that conference were still playing tonight. The Tri-Valley Scotties, they had a matchup with Bellefontaine tonight, and MVL reporter Nick Ursini was there. He joins us live from Westerville.
Joey P., all I can say is wow. What a game it was here. Stars, they were on the field the entire game, but only one team could advance to Week 13. Now, unfortunately, technical difficulties didn't allow us to show you the video, but not to worry. I will break it down for you right here. So, Desmond Libertus of Bellefontaine versus Andrew Newsom of Tri-Valley, 2 of the most complete quarterbacks I have seen this season, and boy, did they light it up. Now, unfortunately, Bellefontaine was able to get the ball first. They worked their way down the field. They had a lot of time-consuming drives. Their first 2 drives were 14 plays and 12-play drives, both resulting in touchdowns. But you can never count out that Tri-Valley offense. And who was it? It was not exactly Andrew Newsom, but it was Caleb Craig. The run game was a big factor tonight as the weather is, right now, it's about 20 degrees, JP, and I can't deny I'm pretty cold. But, oh my God, what a game it was. Now, it was actually 20-13 at halftime. But don't worry, this was a second half game. The first half was a little bit irrelevant, so that second half, that's where this game really came down to.
So, Nick, you may have witnessed possibly the game of the year in the MVL. Take us through what happened in the second half and in overtime.
Joey P., this might be the most intense high school football game I have seen in my entire life. Now, the Scotties were relying on their ground game a little bit early, so they really needed to change it up. And in fact, on their first possession, they got the ball to start off the third quarter, and Newsom connected with Jake McLaughlin from 41 yards out. Like I said earlier, those long drives really made Coach Buttermore have to change his game plan. Now, Bellefontaine took the lead. It was 23-20 with only the fourth quarter left, and then the Scotties proceeded to go on a 19-play, 91-yard drive that took 9 minutes and 24 seconds off the clock to take the lead. So with their season slipping away, Libertus and that Chieftain offense buckled down. They drove down. It was 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. It was a controversial call. He looked like he didn't get in, but they called it a touchdown. So down by 3, Newsom leads his team into field goal range. Chase Dynan connects from 40 yards out, and here comes overtime. Now, Tri-Valley got the ball. They deferred, so Chieftain's ball to start off. Again, 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Tri-Valley's D stops them 4 times inside the 1-yard line. So, no points for them. Tri-Valley's ball, 2 plays into the drive. Caleb Craig bounces it to the outside. Into the end zone he goes. Tri-Valley wins 36-30 in an absolute thriller that the fans here will not soon forget. So Tri-Valley wins, they go to Week 13, and they're facing Bishop Hartley for the Region 11 championship next week. I can't wait, Joey P.
Jeez, unbelievable, man. You mentioned how cold you were. We appreciate you for going out there and braving the cold weather and breaking down such a crazy game for us. Now, why don't you go get yourself warmed up somewhere, Nick? Okay, we told you this last week, but we want this to be clear for you. To vote for Gridiron Glory Player of the Year, go to WOUB.org. Then you're going to want to click the Gridiron Glory page at the top of your screen. Scroll down until you see that red box on the right-hand side, and boom, make your pick and submit it. Voting ends on Tuesday at 11:59 p.m., so you really need to get everybody you know on board to vote for Player of the Year, and the winner will be announced on the show next Friday. Now let's talk about another MVL team that was in action tonight, the Philo Electrics. They squared up with the Indian Valley Braves tonight, and MVL reporter Noah Wolf joins us from Zanesville to break it down.
Yeah, Indian Valley is in the midst of their best season ever. They went 10-0 for the first time in school history this year, and they were hungry for more. Now, Philo had kind of an up-and-down season this year, but they removed all doubt last week when they dominated St. Clairsville, and they were looking for another dominant performance tonight. The Philo fans were ready for the cold weather, and Philo was not cold at all. On the third play from scrimmage, Isaac Gill hits Hunter Haig for 38 yards and brings the Electrics into Philo territory. Casey Munyon punched it in for 3 yards out, 7-0 Philo. Early in the second quarter, Philo took over, looking to extend their lead. Nick Hoffer takes this one to the outside, 27 yards into Indian Valley territory. 5 plays later, Isaac Gill takes this one, jukes one man, and stiff arms another, making it look easy, and he doubles the Electrics lead, 14-0. Indian Valley came out ready to fight back. Caden Hostetler takes this kick return, follows his blocker, and takes it into Philo territory. Tack on 15 more yards to the late hit, and the Braves start their drive at the Philo 30. 6th play of the drive, Cade Williams takes itself around the Philo defense for 8 yards, putting Indian Valley on the board. Mixed extra point would make it 14-6. Philo takes over here. Isaac Gill airs this one out and hits Cole Smith beautifully in stride. A 42-yard connection, and Philo's in business, but they couldn't capitalize here. They blocked the field goal here, and it's 14-6 going into halftime. Indian Valley was stopped at the Philo 11 right after halftime, and on the ensuing Philo drive, Isaac Gill finds Clay McCutcheon for 75 yards. He runs it all the way to the end zone, and the Electrics take a 21-6 lead as they go on to win 34-6.
Geez, look at the Electrics, man. This game was kind of slow to get going until Philo pulled away in the second half, so why did these teams struggle so much in the first?
Yeah, Joey P., as I mentioned earlier, it was really cold out there, and that cold weather, 27 degrees at kickoff, that cold weather caused both teams to make early mistakes in the game. In the first half, Philo fumbled the ball twice. Indian Valley threw 1 interception and lost 1 fumble, and it was pretty clear that the players weren't reacting very well to that cold weather. There were 4 total turnovers in the first half. But as the game went on, it got colder, but both teams were used to it by then, and there was only 1 turnover in the second half.
So no, Philo had a dominating game tonight. What was the key to their domination in your eyes?
Obviously, Philo's high-octane offense was rolling behind Isaac Gill, but the key to was their defense. If Indian Valley was going to win tonight, they needed another great game from Caden Hostetler, but he was ineffective tonight. The Philo defensive line shut him down and kept him out of the end zone. Their secondary was also key, constantly breaking up passes and holding Cade Williams to an abysmal 29% completion rate. Their defense was clicking on all cylinders tonight, and they only allowed 1 touchdown, Joey P.
All right, so now that this game's all said and done, it's all wrapped up, what is next for these two teams?
Indian Valley, this was their first loss of the year and a heartbreaking one. However, their quarterback, Cade Williams, and running back, Caden Hostetler, are only juniors. They definitely have a chance to make a deep run next year. Now, Philo is set for a rematch with John Glenn next week for a state playoff berth. The Electrics beat the Little Muskies in week 4, but anything can happen in the playoffs, Joey P.
For sure. We've seen some crazy games. Hey, anything can happen. This is a 7 seed. Who would have thought that they would be doing what they're doing right now? Other than them, I'm sure they believed in themselves all year long. But Noah, sounds like you saw a solid game tonight, and thanks for the analysis. Now, next week, we will crown our Gridiron Glory Player of the Year, but you need to know about these guys to make an informed decision when you vote. So now we got senior reporter Eric Threet II. He is that man to tell you about these guys.
Now, before we even talk about these guys, please vote. I know y'all are extra when it comes to being opinionated. This is the time to let those thoughts fly. Don't hold back. Set them free. Support the best player. Support the best story. Support your community. Whatever you do, just vote. Now, let's start with Garrett Maiden. Undefeated Nelsonville York Buckeyes, Joey P. We've seen them time and time again be clutch and come up when they need to come up. And when you talk about Garrett Maiden, you talk about a smart guy. You talk about somebody who makes great decisions.
Studies the game.
Studies the game, and he does it 3 different ways. He does it running, passing, and he kicks field goals for him.
Now let's move on. How about this next one right here out of Waterford?
Oh, Braden Belleville. My man, he's the biggest bully in our coverage other than Colt Younger. He's a whole nother animal. We're not even going to talk about him. Braden Belleville is the only junior to make this list. The first running back to have 30-plus touchdowns since Justice Jenkins did it a few years ago for Trimble. You see this man's body of work. Those are only his regular season stats. And he has 9 yards a carry. And when you look at Division 7, he is playing in a smaller division, but you can't ignore this body of work.
You can't. I mean, when somebody's getting it done like that on the ground, there's no way that can be ignored at all.
Not at all. And you have over 2.5 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns per game. It's something serious. He's a great contender for this award.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure he probably would have wished his postseason would have went a little bit longer, but we won't let that take anything away from him. Who we got next?
Not at all. Let's slide to the FAC. Brandon Moffmer led all quarterbacks in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and he's a silent leader. He leads by example, and he's worked for everything he's had. When you look at those rushing yards, almost 1,700 as a quarterback, 8 yards a carry, 35 total touchdowns. He is the man.
Unreal.
Jeez. And, I mean, he's agile, he's strong. He's shown, like, in his playoff coverage or his playoff game last week, he was able to keep up with Winton Woods, and then they slowed down. But he's still a tough competitor.
Right, for sure. And in Week 10, probably their biggest win of the year, that was huge to win over Jackson, get into the playoffs.
Definitely, but we can't ignore Blake McCoy. Let's talk about Jackson a little bit. Let's talk about the consistency, the dependability of Blake McCoy. And look at the final touchdown of his career was an 85-yard run on a torn ACL. Talk about toughness right there.
Absolutely. I mean, you hate to see a guy go down like that, though.
Not that you hate it. You hate to see it.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. He's another guy that leads by example. Let's talk about Andrew Newsom, a guy that leads our coverage in touchdowns, led Tri-Valley to a regional final as the 5th seed in Region 11, and what I think is the toughest conference in our coverage, blew through the MVL, blew through them.
And I think, like you said, probably the toughest conference in our coverage, and the numbers he's putting up, it's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Over 40 touchdowns. He might reach 50.
We very well could. They're still rocking and rolling. The NBL's still going, man.
They're still going. 3 teams is unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Remember to vote. WOUB.org/gridiron. Voting ends Tuesday at 11:59 p.m.
You heard it from the man right there. That's what we're talking about. Make sure you go vote. So now we're going to move on. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Yes, sir.
All right, the third MVL team, that was in action tonight was the John Glenn Little Muskies. They had Licking Valley, and Rebecca Markovitz was there. She joins us live from Zanesville.
I'll tell you, Joseph, it was all about the offense for both teams tonight. Licking Valley and the Panthers had a lot up their sleeve before the whistle blew. And when their cleats crossed the right line, the magic began. It was touchdown after touchdown tonight. Starting with John Glenn, just 3 minutes into the game, Justin Haycock throws to a wide-open Jake Radcliffe, and he brings that one down as he finds the end zone for a 34-yard touchdown. It's 7-0, and here are those little Muskies again, as they waste no time on the comeback after Licking Valley ties it up. Joseph Clifford on the kickoff return here, and he picks it up like a wrecking ball. He plows through the Panther defense. It's 1 broken tackle, 2 broken tackle, and he says, "Eat my dust." He runs it 90 yards into the end zone. Not a single Licking player could catch him. That makes it 13-6. Extra point also not good. Here is the tying play that I mentioned earlier. Less than 2 minutes after John Glenn's first touchdown, the Panthers answer back. Noah Hopkins throws to Gunnar Carpenter, who sneaks into the corner of the end zone. They're pumped, but the extra point's no good. It's 7-6. But look out, here come those Panthers once again as Jake Lewis gets the handoff and runs it in from 19 yards out, diving to the blue. It's 13-13. All 4 of those touchdowns were in the first 7 minutes of the game.
Geez, Rebecca, it looks like that was an exciting first quarter, but only one of these teams could bring it home, as always.
That's right, Joseph. Both teams came off big round 1 playoff games. John Glenn beat Bloom Carroll, and Licking Valley remained undefeated after shutting out Unioto. But John Glenn ruined the Panthers' record with a 33-27 win under the lights at Zanesville High School.
So what did John Glenn do to edge out Licking Valley?
After the first quarter, it seemed like it was going to be a close game. It was 13-13, but John Glenn was able to pull ahead in the second quarter. They kept the Panthers to a scoreless second quarter and utilized their strong offensive players. Their offense posed a huge threat of Joseph Clifford, Shane Bonner, Jake Radcliffe, and Gavin Thompson, all scoring 1 touchdown each.
How about Shane Bonner? That's a name we need to remember.
It is an important name to remember. Bonner had 4 touchdowns in the game against Bloom Carroll and only 1 touchdown tonight, but he led in rushing and receiving yards with 89 rushing and 77 receiving. Not only was he a threat on offense, but he was right there on defense shutting down those Panthers.
Now, Licking Valley, they were just not able to match them offensively, were they?
Well, like I said, John Glenn's defense really brought their A game tonight. They did not give any red jersey a lot of breathing room, but Licking Valley also had a lot of penalties that held them back. They had potentially game-changing plays, but were taken back because of holding, personal fouls, and unnecessary roughness. Even though Little Muskies stunted the Panthers' offense in the second quarter, the roles were reversed in the third. John Glenn was scoreless, and the Panthers closed the gap, having scored 2 more touchdowns, but it was just not enough.
Well, Rebecca,
this is John Glenn's first.
Man.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is John Glenn's first playoff appearance since Coach Edwards started coaching the John Glenn 3 years ago. He's definitely doing something right because we're going to see these Little Muskies again next week.
Absolutely. They're still rocking and rolling. We'll see what they got next week. Thanks for the good work. Well, we had some big games tonight. Playoff football always brings out the best of all these teams in our coverage and all the players. So let's check out tonight's top plays. Play number 3, let's take you out to New Lexington, undefeated Nelsonville York versus Fort Frye. Garrett Maiden fakes it to Chris Cook, and we're sending it deep. Connects with Keegan Wilburn. Defender giving it his best shot, but to no avail. You hate to see it. 55 yards for the score. Now let's move to play number 2. Philo, Indian Valley, Isaac Gill launching it up to Clay McCutcheon. This is going 74 yards to the crib. The Electrics moving on as a 7 seed. Who would have thought? Look at these guys playing at a real high level right now. Now our top play of the night, it's Garrett Maiden again, but to Chris Cook, bobbles it, then secures the bag. We'll be seeing you. The man is going 71 yards to the fun zone and to the regional final next week as well. The Buckeyes stay undefeated in dramatic fashion tonight. So after tonight's crazy finishes, you're going to want to know what the playoff brackets look like, and we've got them for you right now. So let's check it out. In Division 3, Region 11, the 5 seed, Tri-Valley knocking off the 1 seed in overtime. Unbelievable finish. They get a date with the Bishop Hartley Hawks next Friday in the regional final. Hartley won in impressive fashion tonight, 44-14 over Independence. Big-time regional final with these 2 teams next week. Now, in Division 4, Region 15, we've got 2 teams from the MVL coming out of this one tonight. John Glenn knocked off number 1 seed Licking Valley, and they've got a familiar foe next Friday, the Philo Electrics. Philo beat Indian Valley, as you just heard. They advanced. Earlier this season, Philo beat John Glenn 28-17 back on September 15th. Now we get round 2 next Friday. This is going to be wild. The MVL has shown out this postseason, looking good. Now moving over to Division 6, Region 23, Nelsonville York narrowly escaped Fort Frye after leading 20-0 in the second half. Survive and advance, that's the name of the game, boys and girls. They will play the Colegrove Hornets in the regional final. The Hornets handed SBC champion Southeastern their first loss of the season tonight. And the village of Colegrove, I'm telling you, they've got to be rocking tonight after that one. What a matchup for the regional final there. And now our last bracket to take a look at, Division 7, Region 27, Trimble fell at the hands of Danville tonight, bringing their season to a close. Danville moves on to play the River Pilots, who absolutely hammered Sciotoville East. One of those 2 teams will come out of this region next week. River looks good tonight, but Danville is a machine, I'm telling you, so this should be interesting. All right, that's it for tonight's show, but next Friday is the big one, our 1-hour finale show. We'll have our Player of the Year candidates here. One of them will walk away with the Player of the Year trophy, so be sure to get on the website and vote. They close on Tuesday. We'll be naming Coach of the Year, so this is a show that you're not going to want to miss. Next week, it's going to go by real slow. I'm amped for our finale show, so please tune in next week, and remember that there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.